scenario, sir.
So I think those are very kind words, and thank you very much for listening to me and Jay on this important session of Aham Talks, because the word about the genocide of Pakistani Hindus and Sikh Sardars is only now coming up. We have been trying to raise hell on this issue for the past 10 years with very, very limited success. But the Citizenship Amendment Act, which was an act of compassion and humanitarian concern for the genocide of Hindus and Sikhs happening in Pakistan and Bangladesh. In Afghanistan, there are hardly any Hindus left to be genocided. About 1,000 Hindus and Sikhs remain in that land, a land which used to be Hindu about 100 years ago. So what has happened is, for very strange and weird reasons, this entire issue of Pakistani Hindus and Sardars has not got the world's attention. If we look at it very loosely, perhaps it is the biggest genocide which has happened in the modern era of human existence. And due to some lack of our own Purva Paksha, our own concern, our own leadership, and partly due to the international nexus on anything that Hindus do or want to do, this whole issue has been completely sidelined. And what I say gets more credit when we look at the way CAA was received in this country and the way Citizenship Amendment Act ended up being a legislation of persecution from a legislation of compassion. How the entire narrative was twisted around it, how media and the op-eds and the editorials, especially in the foreign press, were purchased. And the perpetrators of crimes against Hindus and Sikhs were shown to be as victims. So if this can happen in the 21st century, when 24/7 we have television cameras covering everything, in May 2019, the European Union publishes a report on the plight of Hindus and Sardars in Pakistan. And 3 Hindu or Sardar girls are picked every single day. Every single day. While we indulge in Bollywood and cricket and theme parties.
Sorry, are you saying 3 Hindu girls are picked every day?
Yes, you heard me correct.
Oh.
That's not Dr. Umendra Ratno. That's not a hate monger like me saying. That is the report of the European Union Parliament issued in May 2019. And there are scores of reports by even Pakistani human rights activists to endorse that. And this is the sad saga of this community, which has so valiantly fought for 70 years. See, this is not an overnight thing. This has been happening for the past 70 years, ever since we got independence. And if I don't want to go into the history of it, because that's a chapter within itself. So thanks again for inviting us to talk about this issue. But I think 45 minutes will be too long to talk about this topic. I'll share a video of another Indic university, I think from Karnavati, which is also known as Ahmedabad, where I have covered this entire issue in a long session, and we don't need to go into that right now. Perhaps what will be sufficient is to talk that I speak on this issue for about 10-15 minutes, and then we take question and answer so that we can learn more and educate ourselves more on this issue.
Fine. Umendraji, that sounds good. I think a lot of the participants in the call also will be very happy to interact more with you.
Yes, I would really like that.
Right. So tell me this. Now you were saying that the situation was like this earlier, where about 3 Hindu girls were being picked and
See,
taken
Hindu
away,
girls are being picked even today.
even today. Okay. And for what purpose are they getting picked? What do you think is happening to the girls there?
We don't think, we know. The entire
Okay.
village rapes them.
Uh-huh.
Then they are married off to a retard or a physically challenged person converted to Islam.
Uh-huh.
Then they are put into flesh trade either within Pakistan, or they are sent to the Middle East where they are exploited by the sheikhs. And
Uh-huh.
eventually, when they have had their full, they are fed to the sharks.
Oh. Oh.
And there are countless videos we have on this. The parents, the FIR, the court proceedings, the human rights activist reports. But the most authentic is the European Union Parliament report, coming out after an in-detail study of what was happening to Hindus and Sardars in Pakistan, also Christians and a very tiny percentage of Jains in Pakistan. So you asked me about what was my initial motivation to take up this cause. I have been an armchair activist all my life, but about 10 years ago, when I was working in a hospital, in a corporate hospital in Jaipur, I came across this Sindhi doctor gentleman who was from Karachi, and he told me about the. So I was a little moved, and I was perplexed that even today there are Hindus living in Pakistan, and I started investigating the issue, and uh, I started giving money to these people because I knew that dealing with Pakistani citizens, be it Hindu or Muslim, was playing with a live electric wire. So there was all the chances that I'm going to get a shock or I'm going to get burnt. And then around 2012, 2013, I met Jay, and that changed my life because Jay was way ahead of me in the whole realm of this issue. Jay had been working with this issue much earlier, and since he is himself a Sindhi, so he has an ease of language and connection with these people. So Jay and I got together, and we just did whatever we could with money and very small issues, getting somebody released from a thana somewhere, or some Pakistani Hindu getting a job somewhere or something like that. We used to get these reports quite regularly that entire villages of Hindus are being converted, and we just helplessly listened to these people. We would cry in our solitude. We would weep for this state of our nation. And strangely, nobody in this country, no Hindu leader, no Hindu leadership, nobody who mattered seemed to care about these people. And out of the blue, 2014 comes, and Shri Narendra Modi puts this whole issue in the manifesto. So for me, the gratitude towards Shri Narendra Modi is very, very personal. I mean, apart from being a prime minister who has done so much for our nation, it was unthinkable for me and Jay that somebody would even care about Pakistani Hindus and Sardars. And he put this up in the election manifesto of the Central Committee. And at the same time, it was put in the State Committee also. So please understand what that means. It meant that people like me and Jay could easily work on this issue without being labeled as Pakistani agents. Because when a mainstream political party picks up an issue and wants to deal with it on a humanitarian basis, then it becomes pretty easy for people like me to align with the cause and be a facilitator. So I educated myself over the years to what was the demographics of Pakistani Hindus, where were they mainly living, what was the caste configuration, what were their issues in Pakistan, what were their issues when they came to India, difficult, how arduous it was for them to India. And in 2016, me and Jay both, we started our NGO titled Nimit Ekam. Nimit Ekam means to be the instrument of the divine. Because trust me, friends, to take out Hindus and Sardars from Pakistan is actually not, जिसे हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, मेरी और जय की कोई औकात नहीं है. It is something miraculous. चमत्कार होता है कि जब मुनाबाव स्टेशन पर when the train lands and 300, 400 Hindus are landing every week. And we just did not have any resources. We started from scratch. Jay gave his own land worth 50 lakh rupees to start the office of Nimitt Ekam. That is another gift to Sanatan Dharma. Jay has almost lost entire business of his, because most of the time 3 days in a week he's in Delhi, looking after this notification or that notification or that group of refugees or this group of refugees. I haven't lost that much because I don't travel that much on this issue except to raise funds and to do sessions on this. But Jay's contribution has been zillion times more than mine. And he's like a kid brother to me. He does all the groundwork. So in 2016, we started Nimitt Ekam and we got these notifications when Rajnath Singh was the Home Minister. Srimati Sushma Swaraj was the External Affairs Minister. And we used to get these regular sessions where whatever was lacuna was left in these notifications, we would go to them. I must say very compassionately, the entire government under Shri Narendra Modi ji in the first term was very sensitive. They gave us appointments very easily. And to sum it up with a number, between 2000 and 2004 and 2014, no Pakistani Hindu got citizenship. But between 2014 and 2020 now, more than 10,000 Pakistani Hindus have been granted citizenship.
Awesome.
People who are of nowhere and people who don't have a land to call their own. They are Kafirs in that land and Pakistanis in Bharat. We can never understand the joy and the amount of security it gives to these people when they get their citizenships. So the singular achievement in the past 4 or 5 years, which we can take credit for in Nimitt Ekam, is that we have been managed to get at least 2,000 Pakistani Hindu citizenship through Nimitt Ekam alone. And there are as many in the pipeline. And I must give a word about my donors, those who have given us Dharmanch. And we run 2 offices, one in Jaipur on the land donated by Jay. We built an office there, and we have an office in Jodhpur. 80% of Hindus coming from Pakistan are our Dalit Sahodaras. They are Meghwals, Bhils, scheduled tribes, Old Rajputs, Badai, Koli, Valmikis. And 20% of them are from the upper castes like Brahmins or Maheshwaris or Agarwals or Malis, Senis. So the most downtrodden of Hindus and the most persecuted Hindus on the subcontinent are the Pakistani Hindus, because 5 million of them still suffer in that hellhole. And as I said, 3 girls are picked every single day, and their properties are snatched. They are killed right in the center with impunity, with no regard for law. And there's not even somebody who's talking this story. And then that brings us to the Citizenship Amendment Act. When Citizenship Amendment Act is brought, how shamelessly it is resisted by Hindus and Sikhs themselves, without an iota of compassion, without an iota of understanding. इतना तो यार हम दुश्मन के लिए भी कर देते हैं कि उसकी बेटी की अगर इज्जत लुट रही हो तो हम उसको दुश्मन को भी शायद शरण दे देते हैं. ये कैसे हिंदू और सरदार हैं जो सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट एक्ट का विरोध करते हैं और इन 3 बच्चियों को जो प्रतिदिन उठ रही हैं इस तरह मरने के लिए, इस तरह लुटने के लिए छोड़ देते हैं. I don't know. I've been at my wits end Where is the Dalit leadership, because 80% of these Hindus who are coming to Bharat are Dalits. What about the Sardars who are coming in? Where is the Akali Dal? Where is the Sikh leadership? I have no idea absolutely why they have been left into the wilderness for no fault of theirs. These are very simple, very honorable, very sweet people who just want to remain in the faith of their ancestors. And it's hat off to Narendra Modi ji and Amit Shah and the entire BJP leadership for weathering the storm, not yielding to the blackmail that was created in this country, not yielding to the blackmail of all the blocs who wanted the Citizenship Amendment Act to go away, and standing and taking a stand and not yielding an inch. So here we are today, once the Corona crisis goes over. And if I may say metaphorically or figuratively, Corona was long due for the sins that we have committed. Any society that overlooks the rape and plunder of its girls deserves to be annihilated. So I think Corona is just one of the mild slaps of Mother Nature, Mother Kali to us. And if we continue to ignore the suffering of Hindus and Sardars trapped in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, much worse fate is going to fall on us, because the curse of unmarried, teenaged, young Hindu girls cannot go empty. It will not go empty. Thank you very much for listening to me. You can ask me any question that comes to your mind. I'll be dealing with the humanitarian thing, the historical aspect of this, and how we take out a Hindu out of Pakistan. What do we do once these Hindus land here?
Hello.
And Jay will be dealing with the technical aspect of it, because he's much more competent than me in dealing with the technical aspect of the Citizenship Amendment Act. And in general, the Act of Citizenship of 1955, he knows it like the back of his hand. So questions are more than welcome, so that we can interact.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing a part of the world, Omendraji, which a lot of us don't know, because you have seen it firsthand, you have experienced it, and I can actually sense the pain in your voice as you talk about those poor girls whose modesty is outraged, whose families are destroyed, just because they come from a different faith. And I'm also glad that you acknowledge the contribution of the current government that has taken the courage to bring about an act which can actually safeguard a few lives at least. My suggestion is that we will have Jai Ahuja ji talk a little, and then we will open it up for question answers. Is that okay, Umendra ji? Okay. So, Jai ji, may I request you to put on your video, please? Jai ji?
आपकी तरफ से करना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, ठीक है, कर दिया मैंने. We'll get you on the screen. Just a minute, huh? Jai ji, आपका वीडियो ऑन नहीं?
Yeah,
हो गया.
नहीं, it's there. I have taken care.
Okay. So for all the participants in the call today, Jai Ahuja ji is a savior as much as Omendra Ratnuji is for all the persecuted minorities, mainly persecuted Hindus and Sikhs. And it's been a long journey for Jai Ahuja ji, who has been working on the ground much before CAA came in, to see that he could help the Hindus who were stranded in neighboring countries and who were getting outraged, persecuted, violated day in and day out. जय आहूजा जी, धन्यवाद आने के लिए कॉल पे. और थोड़ा सा आप बताएंगे कि आप किस तरह से इस पे जुड़े और क्या रहा आपका आपका अनुभव, किस तरह से आपने क्या क्या देखा इसमें, और हिंदुओं का हिंदू ही नहीं बाकी माइनॉरिटीज भी शायद सफर हो रही हैं वहां पर, तो आपका अनुभव क्या रहा, प्लीज हमारे साथ शेयर करिएगा।
मेरी शुरुआत अगर मैं कहूँ आपको, इंट्रोडक्शन तो हो ही चुका, ओमेंद्र भाई साहब बहुत कुछ बता चुके हम दोनों के बारे में। ये बेसिकली एक डिवाइन प्लानिंग बोलता हूँ मैं हमेशा इसको। अगर आपने सुना हो तो माँ सती के 52 शक्तिपीठ हमारे सनातन धर्म में है, जहाँ माँ सती के शरीर के 52 अलग अलग हिस्से धरती पे गिरे हैं। और उसमें पहला शक्तिपीठ है जहाँ माता जी का ब्रेन ब्रह्मरंध्र गिरा है, हिंगुल पर्वत पे, हिंगलाज माता। तो बीइंग ए सिंधी, हमारी कुलदेवी सिंधी अरोड़ा हमारी कुलदेवी हिंगलाज माता है। तो जब ऑर्कुट शुरू हुआ, मैं उसी जमाने से पाकिस्तान में हिंदुओं को ढूंढता रहता था। फेसबुक आया तो और कनेक्टिविटी फास्ट हो गई, और हिंगलाज माता के बारे में ढूंढते ढूंढते मैं कुछ हिंदू लोगों से कनेक्ट हुआ, और फिर उनके वॉल्स पर उस जमाने में हिंदू एट्रोसिटी पे वो लोग लिखा करते थे। और एक ब्लॉगर है राकेश लखानी, वो बेसिकली मेरी आपकी तरह भारतीय ही हैं, जन्म से मेरे हम उम्र हैं, और वो अडानी मेडिकल कॉलेज के आईटी हेड हुआ करते थे। तो वो ब्लॉग लिखा करते थे वर्डप्रेस पे, राकेश लखानी। तो मैंने उनसे अपना फोन नंबर एक्सचेंज किया, और मेरे मन में बहुत ज्यादा इस बात को लेके तकलीफ होने लग गई कि अगर मेरे ग्रैंडफादर ने, मेरे दादाजी ने 1947 में इस्लामिक रिपब्लिक पाकिस्तान को छोड़ना, अपनी मातृभूमि को छोड़ना अगर उन्होंने तय नहीं किया होता, तो मेरी कितनी बुरी स्थिति होती। और छोटी छोटी बच्चियों की किडनैपिंग की खबरें आए दिन देख करके ऐसा मन में लगता था, बिकॉज आई एम फादर ऑफ ए गर्ल चाइल्ड। मेरी बेटी 2001 में पैदा हुई, तो 2009-10 में वो 8-9 साल की मेरी बच्ची थी। और 9 साल की बच्चियों को वहां पे किडनैप करके सेम डे कन्वर्ट करके उनका निकाह पढ़वा दिया जाता था। तो मैं मतलब उस सिचुएशन को सोच करके मुझे पूरी पूरी रात नींद नहीं आया करती थी कि मेरी बेटी के साथ अगर ऐसा हो जाता तो मतलब मैं कैसे जी पाता। ये सबसे बड़ी बात थी जो मेरे को अंदर तक मतलब एक शूल की तरह चुभा करती थी कि कैसे इन लोगों को बचाया जाए। उसी दौर में मुझे एक जितेश शर्मा, हमारे आज भी साथ ही हैं, जितेश मुझे मिले, पाकिस्तान से आए हुए हैं। और जितेश ने मुझे बताया कई सारी चीजें, और जितेश बिकम द पर्सन हु टर्न माई लाइफ। मतलब मेरी मन की जितनी सारी छटपटाहट और जितनी मेरी एनर्जी मैं इस काम में लगाना चाहता था, उसको चैनलाइज करने का रास्ता मुझे जितेश के मिलने के बाद में मिला। अभी कुछ 37,000 लोगों से ज्यादा, 37,000 रेफ्यूजीज आर कनेक्टेड विद निमित्तेकम। तो अभी हमारी फैमिली एक से बढ़ के 37,000 हो गई है, और इट्स अ लॉन्ग जर्नी। अभी निमित्तेकम क्या करता है, मैं आपको 2-3 मिनट में ये भी बताने की कोशिश करता हूँ। once somebody start thinking in Pakistan, any Hindu कि I want to go to India, I want to migrate permanently, तो वहीं से निमित्तेकम का काम शुरू होता है। They usually call their relatives in India that we want to migrate, we want to come to India for final permanent settlement। वो लोग हमारे पास में आते हैं, एक पूरा स्पॉन्सरशिप का डॉक्यूमेंट बनता है। 9 countries are pre-intimated countries and all 9 countries are Islamic countries। Pre-intimation means once somebody wants a visa for India, so they should get a sponsorship letter from any Indian citizen, then they can apply for their visa only. So what we do, we make 500 invitation or sponsorship letters every month in our both offices, और वो सारे डॉक्यूमेंट रेडी होके पाकिस्तान जाते हैं उनके रिलेटिव्स के पास में। वहां से वो लोग इंडियन एम्बेसी इस्लामाबाद में जाकर के अपना वीजा अप्लाई करते हैं। वो पूरा का पूरा डॉक्यूमेंट का जो सेट है वो स्कैन होके दे सेंट इट टू, एवरी टाइम दे सेंट इट टू मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स सेक्रेटरी इन न्यू दिल्ली। द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स दे सेंट इट, दे यूजुअली सेंट इट टू MHA, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स के मतलब भारत के गृह सचिव को, होम सेक्रेटरी ऑफ इंडिया को वो भेजा जाता है। और वो आईबी चीफ को भेजते हैं। आईबी चीफ रेलेवेंट स्टेट की आईबी ब्रांच को भेजता है, वहां की आईबी जाकर के स्पॉन्सर के बारे में ये 2 बात मालूम करती है कि उनका कोई एंटी सोशल एंगल तो नहीं है और उनका कोई एंटी नेशनल एंगल तो नहीं है। जब स्पॉन्सरशिप का वेरिफिकेशन ठीक होकर के यहाँ से जाता है, तब वीजा एप्लीकेशन डिसाइड होता है। सो टू गेट ए वीजा टू कम टू इंडिया फॉर ए हिंदू, इट टेक्स मिनिमम 4 to 5 months प्रोसीजर। तो इतने कॉम्प्लेक्स चीजों में से हमको निकलना पड़ता है और तब जाकर के हमारे एक फैमिली या एक बंदे को वहां पे वीजा मिलता है और फिर वो लोग या तो वाघा बॉर्डर के जरिए या जब पहले ट्रेन चला करती थी 370 के बाद में वो ट्रेन बंद हो गई है जो सिंध से चल के जोधपुर आया करती थी। जोधपुर में भगत की कोठी स्टेशन जहां पे सबसे ज्यादा लोग उतरा करते थे, सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलर रास्ता यही था क्योंकि सिंध में मैक्सिमम पॉपुलेशन है तो लोगों को जोधपुर वाली ट्रेन ही सूट किया करती थी वाघा की बजाय आने के लिए। तो वहां हमारी कियोस्क लगा करती थी स्टेशन के बाहर। फिर जिस बंदे को जिस शहर में जाना होता था वहां लोकल असिस्टेंस का हम लोग इंतजाम किया करते थे। इन सबके सीआईडी में रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाना, इनकी रजिस्ट्रेशन के बाद में विद इन 30 डेज इनकी शेल्टर सीक करने की एप्लीकेशन लगाना कि वी आर परसिक्यूटेड माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान और हम भारत में रहना चाहते हैं, अब हम भारत से वापस नहीं जाना चाहते हैं। 1950 का नेहरू लियाकत पैक्ट और 1955 का सिटीजनशिप जो बिल था, भारतीय नागरिकता अधिनियम 1955, इन दोनों के अंदर इस तरीके के प्रोविजंस थे इन दोनों डॉक्यूमेंट्स में कि उसके बेस पर इन लोगों को शेल्टर देना भारत सरकार के लिए अनिवार्य यानी कंपल्शन था। इनको डिनाई नहीं किया जा सकता था शेल्टर को। ये हमारे प्रायर टाइम के अरेंजमेंट्स के बेस पे इनको शेल्टर मिला करती थी और हम इनके लॉन्ग टर्म वीजा सेंक्शन कराया करते थे। सिटीजनशिप के बारे में भी कुछ बहुत सारे भ्रांतियां हैं कि ये एंटी मुस्लिम लॉ है, ऐसा नहीं है। 1955 के एक्ट में सेक्शन 5(1) ने सिर्फ पाकिस्तान और अफगानिस्तान के माइनॉरिटीज को एड्रेस करता था और उनको प्रिविलेज सिटीजनशिप की बात करता था। नॉर्मल फॉरेनर को 12 इयर्स और माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान को 7 इयर्स में सिटीजनशिप का प्रावधान पहले से था, जिसको यूज करके हमने 2016 23 दिसंबर को राजनाथ सिंह जी के किए हुए नोटिफिकेशन को इफेक्टिवली जयपुर में लागू करवाया और भारत की पहली सिटीजनशिप जयपुर में करवाई और इसी प्रोविजन के तहत हमने करवाई। अब आप बाकी क्वेश्चन आंसर पूछेंगे तो मैं सीए के टेक्निकल पक्ष और बेहतर तरीके से आपको बता पाऊंगा। मोनिका जी, ओवर टू यू।
जी धन्यवाद, थैंक यू सो मच for sharing how you got into this and the work that has happened. जय आहूजा जी, आप ग्राउंड लेवल पे काम कर रहे हैं, आपको क्या लगता है कि जो सीए अभी पास हुआ है इससे क्या अपनी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हुई है या अभी और कुछ होना चाहिए था इससे ज्यादा?
नहीं, अभी 2-3 चीजें भ्रांतियां हैं वो मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा। इससे प्रॉब्लम सबसे बड़ी क्या सॉल्व हुई है वो आप एक बार समझिएगा। 7 साल में नागरिकता 7 ईयर सिटीजनशिप का बेनिफिट केवल उन्हीं लोगों को मिल सकता था जिनके मदर फादर का या खुद का बर्थ बिफोर पार्टीशन, मींस अनडिवाइडेड इंडिया के सिटीजन और उनकी फर्स्ट जनरेशन को ये बेनिफिट था। अभी जो लोग आ रहे हैं उनमें से ज्यादातर के मदर फादर का बर्थ बिफोर पार्टीशन नहीं है। ज्यादा से ज्यादा एक परिवार का मुखिया एक हमें ऐसा मिलता था जिसके ऊपर सेक्शन 5(1) का वो बेनिफिट जो है वो उसको ले सकता था। बाकी उसके पत्नी और बच्चे सब के सब लोग अटक जाते थे 12 इयर्स वाले क्लॉज में। तो ये बड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स सिचुएशन था। तो होता क्या था कि हम बहुत मेहनत करके भी परिवार में एक जने को ही सिटीजनशिप दिलवा पाते थे, बाकी लोगों को या तो 12 साल इंतजार करना पड़ेगा या फिर और डिफरेंट सेक्शंस में बड़ी कॉम्प्लेक्स तरीके से उनकी सिटीजनशिप अप्लाई करनी पड़ती थी। अभी क्या होगा कि वो 7 इयर्स को घटा के 5 इयर्स कर दिया है। दूसरा, पहले कंप्लायंस के लिए कोई गाइडलाइन या टाइमलाइन फिक्स नहीं थी। 2 साल में सिटीजनशिप मिलेगी सारे पेपर होने के बावजूद, या 3 साल में मिलेगी या 4 साल में मिलेगी। इसको लेकर के कोई उनके ऊपर कोई अंकुश नहीं था, कोई उनको कहने वाला नहीं था ब्यूरोक्रेसी को। अभी 5 इयर्स अगर आपको भारत में रहते हुए हो गए और आप माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान है तो 1947 के पहले के बर्थ का राइडर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने हम लोगों की रिक्वेस्ट पे हटा दिया। यही सबसे बड़ा चेंज है। तो अभी मान लीजिए कि मेरे फादर का जन्म 1947 से पहले हुआ था, लेकिन मेरी पत्नी और यानी मेरे फादर इन लॉ का जन्म 1947 से पहले नहीं हुआ और मेरे बच्चों का फादर यानी मेरा तो है ही बर्थ 77 का। तो हम लोगों को मतलब मुझे अकेले को जो लाभ मिलता, अब हम चारों एक साथ 5 साल बाद अप्लाई करेंगे और मैंडेटरी 1 साल में कंप्लायंस करके सिटीजनशिप देनी पड़ेगी। ये बहुत बड़ा फायदा हुआ है। इससे बच्चों का कैरियर बच जाएगा, उनकी एजुकेशन के और बाकी सारे मसले एड्रेस हो जाएंगे, वो शहर और स्टेट के बाहर जा पाएंगे और नॉर्मल इंडियन सिटीजन की तरह जीवन जी पाएंगे। और एक और बहुत बड़ी भ्रांति है कि 31 दिसंबर 2014 के बाद में जो लोग आए उनको नागरिकता नहीं मिलेगी। ऐसा नहीं है। 31 दिसंबर 2014 से पहले जो लोग आए हैं उन सब लोगों को नागरिकता लेने के लिए एक्सपायर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट भी उनके वैलिड माने जाएंगे। यानी कि किसी का पासपोर्ट एक्सपायर हो गया क्योंकि वो निर्धन हिंदू हैं, उनके पास 6000 पर एनम 10-10 लोगों के भरने के लिए नहीं होते हैं पाक एम्बेसी को पैसा देने के लिए, तो हमने इस कारण से कम भी 200 से 300 करोड़ रुपए पाकिस्तान की एम्बेसी को मिलने वाले रेवेन्यू को रोक दिया है और हमारे लोगों के लिए ईज करवा दिया है। 1 जनवरी 2015 को जो भारत में आया है सिटीजनशिप उसको भी मिलेगी, लेकिन उसके पेपर्स वैलिड होने चाहिए, उसका वीजा वैलिड होना चाहिए, उसकी पासपोर्ट वैलिड होना चाहिए और नागरिकता वो लोग भी ले सकते हैं। तो 5 साल डेडलाइन सबके लिए हो गई है, सभी को इसका लाभ मिलेगा 5 साल जिनको हो गए हैं, और जिनके पेपर एक्सपायर है वो केवल 2014 से पहले आए हुए लोगों के एक्सपायर्ड पेपर पे।
If I can interrupt, Monica.
जी ओमेंद्र जी बताइए।
So the thing is that technically, I think if you ask me, the biggest advantage of pushing CAA has been. I can't see my video. Is everybody able to see me?
Yeah, you're up now. Yes.
You can see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So has been the amount of awareness this one stroke of legislation has produced in this country. Otherwise, the Hindu leadership, the leadership, the national leadership, the political leadership, and the international leadership, nobody cared about this genocide. So if you ask me, the optical value, the amount of awareness this issue has created amongst routine and ordinary Hindus has been phenomenal. Now we are talking about this genocide of Hindus going on, and in the civilizational conflict in which this subcontinent is embroidered quite, we are in conflict with very violent kind of religious fanaticism. This step is as critical, if not more, than taking away of Article 370 in Kashmir, because it educates a fence-sitting Hindu, liberal, a fence-sitting citizen of this world that this genocide is happening. It has been going on, and it has been happening to people who are victims of time for no fault of their own. These are very, very mild-mannered, very simple, uneducated, simple folks who had nothing to do with anything, and yet they were killed, plundered because they were Hindus. So to me, the biggest takeaway of Citizenship Amendment Act, the amount of awareness it has created on this issue. And I can only express my heartfelt gratitude to Shri Narendra Modi ji and Shri Amit Bhai Shah that they stood ground and they passed this legislation. This one issue has united Hindus pan-globally, you know, that this can happen to Hindus in Pakistan in the 21st century. What is the direction in which this whole civilizational conflict is heading? Thank you.
Is the situation the same in Bangladesh? Because you're saying there's hardly any Hindus now left in Afghanistan. But what is the situation in Bangladesh?
I don't know Bangladesh, but whatever little I have known by interacting with fellow activists is that in Bangladesh, firstly, the Hindu population is very significant. It's close to 1.5 crore. So that's as good as a big nation within itself. Here in Pakistan, they are only 50 lakhs, 5 million Hindus. So to eradicate 15 million Hindus will be much more difficult than to do it with 5 million. Secondly, Bengal itself, being Bangladesh, being born of the liberal Bengali tradition, though there has been Wahhabism and extremism, but still we must give it to the liberal society of Bangladeshi Muslims, stand with the Hindus of Bangladesh, and the amount of atrocities, the amount of suffering of Bangladeshi Hindus is not in the proportion to what the Hindus of Pakistan are suffering. I mean, in terms of education, in terms of social empowerment, getting jobs as doctors and engineers and being educated, Bangladeshi Hindus are far ahead than these persecuted Hindus. As I said, a significant number of Bangladeshi Hindus also Namashud, they're also from the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe community of our faith. But in Pakistan, that number is 80%. And they are not only scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, but they are extremely poor. And just to give a perspective how CAA how critical was CAA to the survival of these Hindus, 25 Sardars were killed in broad daylight in Kabul. So we needed a massacre to drive in home the utility and the need of CAA. 25 families destroyed. And now we are getting reports of Hindus in southern Punjab of Pakistan and Sindh being converted in lieu of food in the corona crisis.
Yes.
And the girls being picked up with impunity now even more. And Hindus are dying of lack of food. Some NGOs have been trying to help them. Just to give a perspective here that how CAA was so critical that we send a message across to these Hindus that hang on buddies, Mother India is coming for you.
Right.
We will take you out from that hellhole. Just hang on buddies. That's all.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. We will open the discussion up for questions. Those of you who would like to ask questions may please...
I think there have been a couple of questions in the chat section if you check.
Yeah, they've already started and I can see 3 hands raised already. So, T.R. Prasad ji, why don't you please go ahead with your question? And if your question is for Omendra ji, you can ask it to him, or Jaya Ahuja ji, you can ask both, whoever you'd like to. T.R. Prasad ji, are you ready with your question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you'll have to be a little loud. Prasad ji, please be a little loud.
Okay, but am I audible now?
A little louder.
Yes, Prasad ji, boliye.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, Dr. Omendra ji and Jai Ahuja ji. I heard you.
Namaste.
Namaste. No, the one aspect which you mentioned, as far as Bangladesh is concerned, Bangladesh is not far behind in
Can I request you to put your video on, Prasad ji? We'd like to see who's asking the question. Prasad ji, can I see you on the video, please?
No, I think you have to do it. I cannot undo
You're unable to do it, is it? Okay, I'll manage that. Please go ahead. Yeah, okay.
No, there is a message. You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay, I'll manage. You please go ahead with your question.
Okay. No, at the outset, the last point Dr. Omendra ji was making is about Bangladesh. I would like to say that Bangladesh is not far behind in creating difficulties for the Hindu community there. The number of Hindus available in Bangladesh is substantially higher compared to Pakistan, because at the beginning itself, Bangladesh had a substantially higher percentage of Hindu population, around 13% if I'm correct.
No, I didn't say that there was no persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh.
No. I am saying there is persecution. No. I am 100% endorsing what you said. I am only saying the persecution is there. And they are doing it in a may not be as brutal as Pakistan is. That's the only difference. But
you lower your camera a bit. You should lower your camera.
Okay.
You can see your forehead. Yeah, now we can see you.
Okay, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So coming back to the legislation, CAA, the Home Minister at the time of at the time this bill was discussed in the Parliament, both houses of Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, explained in very detail, and even the Prime Minister, both of them made it very clear to the Muslim population of India that it is not going to affect even a single individual Muslim of India adversely. The next day was calm and quiet. From the second day, these people started agitating. And who are agitating? The opposition parties, because which are all basically family enterprises. They are all now family enterprises parties, and they instigated the whole Muslim population of India, and they are agitating in spite of the knowledge. The agitating people also really, I think they understand that they won't be put to any harm by this legislation. But why are they agitating? Because I think, there is a lot of frustration among the whole political opposition parties. Right from the day Narendra Modi came to power in 2014, now these people have understood that their future is very bleak. They cannot come
Prasadji,
back.
I'm extremely sorry for interrupting you, but there's lots of people waiting to ask questions.
Okay. I will come. I will straight come to my question.
If you have a specific question, we'd be really happy to.
Yeah. I will come to my question.
Sure.
The question is regarding the implementation of CAA, because some of the states have said that we won't implement it, and it's a ticklish issue. So my question is that in case, some states like West Bengal, Kerala, they are all raising a hue and cry about implementation of it.
Jay Ahuja ji has an answer for you. Jay ji, what do you think is the situation now?
No, my question. I will finish in 10 seconds. I will finish in 10 seconds.
Please,
my specific question is that in case there is a clash between the center and the state in the implementation, and if some states refuse to implement it, can the central government take over that responsibility to directly implement it using its departments, its force, instead of depending upon the state machinery? Then they will raise a human cry about cooperative.
Prasad sir, we had a lot of discussion in MHA in meetings. So as a refugee activist, I used to go there, and we had a lot of discussion with a lot of ministers and a lot of people. So they have very clear plan in their mind. If state government will not allow to impose, or they will not allow their machinery, so income tax department will act as a collector of district, that particular district. They have all the plans in their mind. They are very clear, and this is going to be implemented with the force of central government.
Okay.
Otherwise, Jay Ahuja ji, जो citizenship है, that is a central subject. It is not a state subject.
नहीं, मैं बताता हूँ आपको. 1955 के एक्ट के आधार पे पूरे भारत के डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर्स वर the nodal agencies to implement it on the ground. After Assam Accord, जब असम का समझौता लागू हुआ, it was initiated by Rajiv Gandhi ji in 1985. It was fulfilled by P.V. Narsingh Rao ji in 1994. और 1994 में पूरे भारत के डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर से पावर विड्रॉ करके गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के होम सेक्रेटरी को दे दिए गए. वो पावर 16 डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर्स को हम लोगों ने मेहनत करके डेलीगेट कराए पाकिस्तानी हिंदुओं के लिए. बट द सेम क्वेश्चन इज अराइजिंग फॉर बांग्लादेशी हिंदूज और ऑल्सो. सो इफ देयर विल बी सम प्रॉब्लम, then government of India's agency will do directly. They will not delegate to the collectors these powers again. So they have very clear idea how to do this. So there will be no problem. There is only one mishap. There are two security agencies. One is Intelligence Bureau of Government of India. One is State CID. Two agencies usually give the reports about the applicant. So they are thinking that which one be the second agency to give security report. One is IB is there already, and let's see how it goes. But they are very clear. If states deny, they will do it at their own. And income tax department's district officer will be the nodal officer, as like district collector.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. That's taken care of. Then Gaurav Mittalji, you have a question? Gaurav Mittalji, you'll have to unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, ma'am. मैम अभी जैसे जय जी ने बोला कि अभी हेलो
आपका सवाल किसके लिए है गौरव जी? किसके लिए है सवाल आपका?
हाँ जी, मैं जय सर के लिए है सर।
जी।
इसमें जैसे अभी आपने बताया कि अभी सेकंड एजेंसी उसमें हम चूज करेंगे, मतलब गवर्नमेंट विल चूज आईबी और द जो क्लियरेंस दे सके, तो अभी मतलब ये अभी क्लियर नहीं है कि कौन देगा?
नहीं नहीं गौरव जी, दोनों एजेंसी सभी के लिए क्लियरेंस देती हैं। हम लोगों ने 2000 से आसपास सिटीजनशिप ऑलरेडी कराई है। सभी के लिए स्टेट की सीआईडी और सेंट्रल की आईबी दोनों का क्लियरेंस आता है।
एक सर ये जैसे मैं दिल्ली से हूँ और लोग जब पूछते हैं कि ये एनटीसीए में मतलब मैं आरएसएस से बिलोंग करता हूँ वैसे मैं यूथ हूँ, तो मैं एनटीसीए को मतलब आगे प्रमोट करता हूँ, तो लोग मेरे को ये बोलते हैं कि व्हाई नॉट अहमदियाज फॉर ऑफ द पाकिस्तान, और ये मतलब ये सेकुलरिज्म पे।
गौरव जी एक भी बेनिफिशियरी को नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार ने न जोड़ा है न घटाया है।
अच्छा।
Beneficiaries have been decided by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji's regime in 1955. माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान पर ही ये बनना था। खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान दिल्ली घूमने आए थे 1954 में, जब ये पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड इसकी ड्राफ्टिंग कर रहा था, और खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान के रिक्वेस्ट पे अफगानिस्तान जोड़ दिया गया था। उन्होंने कहा था भाई मुझे पश्तो एरिया में फंसे हुए हिंदू और सिखों का भी भविष्य जो है वो बहुत खराब नजर आ रहा है, आप आज से ही इनके लिए ओपनिंग कर दो। तो ये ऐसे जुड़ गया था और माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान के लिए सेक्शन 51A बनाया गया था, जिसमें अफगानिस्तान उसी वक्त जोड़ दिया गया था। तो माइनॉरिटी की परिभाषा तभी से क्लियर है, तो माइनॉरिटी की परिभाषा में अभी भी कोई अंतर नहीं आया है। अहमदिया ने आपसे शरण मांगी है क्या? एक केस बताइए ना, भारत में कोई अहमदिया आके शरण मांग रहा है आपसे?
यानी इसमें अगर मैं
मतलब आप ये लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि जो मांग ही नहीं रहा उसको दे दो, और अगर पाकिस्तान के मुसलमान को शरण देनी है आपको, तो जिसने हमारी बच्ची उठाई वो शिकारी और जिसकी बच्ची उठी वो शिकार, आप उनको लाके वापस एक ही घर में रखना चाहते हो।
बहुत सही बात है।
मतलब दिल्ली में लोग, तो मैं इसलिए
गौरव जी झूठ बोल रहे हैं लोग, और उस झूठ के प्रमाण है नेहरू जिन्ना का जो पैक्ट है 1950 का, उसमें दोनों देशों ने दो बातें तय की थी। बहुत सारी बातें थी, सीए से रिलेटेड दो बातें आपको मैं बताता हूँ। नेहरू और लियाकत अली खान का जो पैक्ट था उसमें दो बातें इन्होंने दोनों देशों ने तय की थी। एक तो हम अपनी अपनी माइनॉरिटी को शेल्टर सिक्योरिटी देंगे अपने देश के अंदर और मेन स्ट्रीम में लाएंगे। दूसरी ये बात थी कि कोई भी माइनॉरिटी अगर भविष्य में भी माइग्रेट होकर के बॉर्डर के उस पार जाना चाहेगी तो दोनों देशों को अनिवार्य रूप से मैंडेटरी उनको लेना पड़ेगा, उनको शेल्टर देना पड़ेगा और उनको प्रिविलेज पे नागरिकता देनी पड़ेगी। यही बेस बना 1955 के एक्ट में सेक्शन 51A में माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान अफगानिस्तान के लिए अर्ली सिटीजनशिप और स्पेशल प्रोविजन करने का।
इसमें आपने बस ये बताया कि मतलब उसमें ये था कि मतलब उनके फादर वो प्री इंडिपेंडेंस अनडिवाइडेड इंडिया में,
हाँ वो हटा दिया है,
वो अब ये सीए में नहीं है।
वो ये अब वो 7 इयर्स के बेनिफिट थे, 7 इयर्स में नागरिकता आपको मिल जाएगी, 12 साल वेट नहीं करना पड़ेगा अगर आपके माता पिता का किसी भी एक का जन्म बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस हुआ है तो, बिफोर पार्टीशन हुआ है तो। अब वो हटा दिया, तो अब मान लीजिए 15 साल का बच्चा भी है और वो भारत में 5 साल रह चुका है, तो उसको भी नागरिकता लेने का 5 साल बाद अधिकार हो जाएगा।
लेकिन जो दो
उत्तर में मैं एक बात और कहना चाहूंगा गौरव आपको।
हाँ जी सर,
डॉक्टर उमेंद्र बोल रहा हूँ मैं कि ये अब मक्कारी से भरा हुआ तर्क है कि पाकिस्तान के शियाओं को और अहमदियों को भी नागरिकता दी जाए। पहली बात तो ये कोई अनडिवाइडेड एजेंडा ऑफ पार्टीशन नहीं है। पार्टीशन हुआ था धर्म के आधार पर, और परम आदरणीय प्रातस्मरणीय बाबा साहब अंबेडकर जी ने कहा था कि जनसंख्या का पूर्ण एक्सचेंज होना चाहिए, पूरा एक्सचेंज होना चाहिए।
हाँ जी।
कांग्रेसियों ने नहीं माना, इन लोगों ने, इनमें आत्मबल नहीं था इतना कि उस बात को सच्चाई तक, लॉजिकल एंड तक लेकर जाएं। मुझे बताएं भारतीय स्टेट का क्या ऑब्लिगेशन है पाकिस्तान की मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटीज माइनॉरिटीज की तरफ। दूसरी बात, आज तक हमारे पास किसी शिया अहमदीकर को एप्लीकेशन नहीं आई कि साहब हमको भी वहाँ प्रताड़ित किया जा रहा है, हमें भी रखा जाए यहाँ पर। तीसरी बात, अदनान सामी जो कि एक मुसलमान है, उनको भारत ने नागरिकता दी या नहीं दी? और आज भी नेचुरलाइजेशन के माध्यम से कोई वाकई दुखी है, कोई वाकई प्रताड़ित है, तो भारत माँ की गोद तो हमेशा किसी के लिए भी खुली है। लेकिन ये एक विशेष परिस्थिति है और इसके पीछे मक्कारी का तर्क मैं समझाता हूँ आपको एक ही लाइन में। ऐसा क्यों किया जा रहा है, क्यों कहा जा रहा है कि पाकिस्तान के शियाओं और अहमदियों को लिया जाए? क्योंकि ब्रैकेटिंग क्या करनी है कि जो इब्राहिमिक जो भेड़िया वहां पर हिंदुओं को खा रहा है, जो सोच, उसकी ब्रैकेटिंग हिंदू सरदार जैन क्रिश्चियन के साथ कर दी जाए ताकि प्रेडेटर और प्रे के बीच में भेद जो वही समाप्त हो जाए, शिकारी और शिकार के बीच में भेद ही समाप्त हो जाए। यानी कितना बड़ा दुष्चक्र और कितनी बड़ी कुचक्र वाली चाल चली गई है जिसमें कि हिंदू सरदार भी अपनी पूंगी बजा रहे हैं। तो ये बहुत मक्कारी से भरा हुआ तर्क है जिसका कोई आधार नहीं है, जिसका न ऐतिहासिक आधार है, न धार्मिक आधार है और न नैतिक आधार है।
क्योंकि इसी बेस पे मैंने देखा
गौरव जी ये अमेंडमेंट है, अमेंडमेंट ये नया है और अमेंडमेंट में सिर्फ 1947 वाला राइडर हटाया गया है।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हेलो,
ये अमेंडमेंट है, ये संशोधन है गौरव जी, ये नया एक्ट नहीं है और सिर्फ 1947 वाला राइडर हटाया गया है।
ये 51 वाला जो आया था उसमें अमेंडमेंट की है, राइट?
हाँ, 1955 का ही एक्ट रिटेन कर रहा है। केवल 1947 से पहले जिनका जन्म है या जिनके माता पिता का जन्म है, इस कॉलम को हटा दिया गया जिससे लेमन माइनॉरिटी ऑफ पाकिस्तान जो यहाँ सड़ता रहता है 20-20 साल नागरिकता के लिए, उसको समय पे नागरिकता मिल जाए।
तो अब ऑटोमेटिक
मोनिका, देयर आर एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस?
Yeah, I know we should let's go.
Can I intervene?
Jyoti ji.
Hello.
Gaurav ji, I'm hoping that you got your answers.
Yes,
Jyoti,
yes.
you have a question?
Hello. No, once. Can I intervene?
No. Let's go by the order, please. Reddy ji, you have to wait. Jyoti ji, you have a question?
Namaste, Jay sir.
नमस्ते सर।
I am Jagan Mohan from Hyderabad.
जी।
I am proud of you, sir. Your service.
अरे सर, प्रणाम आपको।
Sir, are you facing any threat in pursuing your mission? This. And another question, sir.
जी सर।
Who can sponsor a refugee? If so, what will be the process? Third question.
Any Indian, sir. Any Indian can sponsor.
So, if sponsor, what we have to do?
So there is a pro forma, there is a set format. We have to make some documents, and these documents should be attested by a government, a grade officer, either central government officer or state government officer. And we have to send the document, the whole the set to Pakistan, to our friends or relatives who want to come India, and they will go to the embassy with this particular set of document, and they apply their visa.
Sir, so after coming to India, what is our responsibility?
Sir, whole responsibility is ours because we are sponsors,
Sir.
guarantors. So we have to take more than 100% responsibility for every single person sponsored by us.
Sir. And then any
so generally relatives do this.
Yeah. I am an Arya Samajist and leading some Arya Samaj in Nalgonda district.
Okay.
Can our association sponsor?
Sir, individuals can sponsor. Government official, you cannot sponsor as an organization.
I would suggest you be in touch with Jay Ahuja ji and Omendra ji. They need a lot of support.
Exactly. You should get in touch with us so that we can guide him through the necessary paperwork.
Right.
Sir, we can send some families who are ready to get their citizenship after CA to settle them in Nalgonda.
Send them to you.
Sure.
Because we have thousands people. We'll send them Bhaginagar.
Right. Thank you. Chintala Bhaskar Garu, you have a question?
One more question.
There's a lot of of sound somewhere, the background noise. Yeah.
Yes, somebody has to mute his speaker if he's not talking, right?
Correct. I've just muted someone.
Yeah. Jayji and Omendra sir, and thank you very much for a lot of insight on this particular subject has given. A lot of insight we have received and lot of understanding, and I'm very gratefully appreciating you both of people and working on this cause and helping Pakistani India Hindus to come India and settle down. And my question is, after CAA, can all Hindus, Pakistani Hindus come down to India? That's the first question. And the second question, as another Nalgonda friend has asked, what is our responsibility to make them help to live in India? Do we need to any economical sponsors, any house वैसा दिखाना पड़ेगा उन लोगों को रहने के लिए, नहीं तो any job कुछ दिखाना पड़ेगा? What exactly we need to intervene into the helping of these families once they come here?
So Bhaskar Sahab, I would like to answer your question. They cannot come India. Every Hindu cannot come to India because 2,000 visa to 2,000 person can get the visa from both sides. 2,000 from India to Pakistan, 2,000 Pakistan to India, and permanent visas are only 300, 400 per month. So we are raising our voice, and we need your help also to raise our voice. Minimum 10 to 15,000 visas should be there for Hindus who want to come to India. So CAA is a law which is implemented in the boundaries of India. You cannot bring people from Pakistan to India with the help of CAA. CAA can be a motivational factor, but in getting visa, CAA is nowhere in getting visa. Visa process में कोई फायदा नहीं है CAA का. वो भारत सरकार को अपना कोटा 2,000 से 10,000 20,000 हिंदुओं के लिए पर मंथ करना पड़ेगा. Number 2, your second question. So we are doing everything for their livelihood. We are doing everything for their critical medical care. We are doing everything for their jobs and businesses. We are doing everything in Rajasthan, and we need massive funds to create a big ecosystem for them, to create a shelter house for them, where any poor Hindu family can come from Pakistan and at least they can stay 3 months free of cost to settle in India. So first lending के लिए first shelter home बनाने की हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं अभी भी, but abhi it is, it's a massive investment kind of project, and governments have not a single penny for Pakistani Hindus because they are Pakistanis, they are not Indian. So उनके लिए भारत और राजस्थान सरकार के पास कोई पैसा नहीं.
So how do we solve this problem then? How, Jai Jaji, what do you think?
Dharmansh have saved a lot of Hindus. So some of our brothers are helping them who don't have money to get their passport, to fill the fees of passport. So at least 7,000 Indian rupees is the cost to bring one Hindu from Pakistan to India. So some of our friends are, sponsoring. Someone said, Jai bhai, I would like to bring 10 Hindus to India. So they usually do this. So they help financially to these people directly. We connect them, and with the help of Nimittekam. So recently 48 people arrived just before door closed of Wagah border because of corona epidemic. 48 people arrived in Bhagyanagar, in Karnavati, Ahmedabad. 48 people are there. So we rescued them, you can say, by Ma Englaj Krapa. We rescued them. So
it's critical. I want to intervene here.
Continue to your answer. Thank you very much for giving the answer for the question. And we are from Hyderabad. Many of people are interested, and wherever possibility, kindly involve us into the program where need to sponsor or giving invitations, and whatever the way we will discuss on further. Thank you.
Yeah, see, just to conclude this question, I have a pending request from a community to which I myself belong in Pakistan. There are 2,000 Hindus who are on the verge of converting because they don't have money. to buy the passport and do the 5 or 6 trips they have to do from the interior Sindh to Islamabad to get the visa. So what an ordinary Hindu can do to save these Hindus to fund us. We have a website, give us Dharmanch. You can send us emails, you can contact us individually. Monica ji is quite in tune with us. So whatever number of Hindus you can sponsor from here, I'm not talking about the paperwork, I'm talking about the money part of it. We can sponsor the paperwork from here, but we are short of money because if we need to take out 2,000 Hindus and suppose the cost of Hindu average cost 5,000 rupees, then we are looking at rupees. We need that kind of money to take these Hindus out of that place. And we're not talking about job and settlement. This is the cost of taking them out of that place. So the only takeaway from today's session should be two takeaways. Number one, talk and educate fellow Hindus and Sardars about the genocide of Hindus and Sardars going on in Pakistan. And secondly, please share some amount of your fortune, maybe to spend some money to take them out of there. These are the two things that we can do. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Dinesh Vaswani ji, you have a question?
Yeah. So my name is Dinesh and I'm from Hyderabad. So I have 2 questions.
Can we get you on the video?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Hello. So
Yes.
I have 2 questions. The first and foremost is why did the government, select the base year as 2014 for allotting citizenship to, according to the CAA? And the second question I have is, are there any, is there a significant population of Hindus in POK? And if there is, then can we, through CAA, reclaim the territory? POK, I mean.
That's an interesting question.
Dinesh ji, I would like to answer about CAA first. Today is 22nd April 2020, right?
Right.
तो जो 21 अप्रैल को भारत में आ चुका है, आज से ठीक 5 साल पहले 21 अप्रैल 2015 को जो भारत में आ चुका है, आज वो एलिजिबल है सिटीजनशिप के लिए.
Okay. So taking
cutoff date, try to understand. Cutoff date is for the relaxation of papers only. With expired visa, with expired passports, you can get citizenship. अब आप इस केस को समझिएगा. एक निर्धन हिंदू के परिवार में 10-10 पासपोर्ट है
जी.
उन्होंने अपनी निर्धनता के कारण ड्यू टू दे आर वेरी पुअर, तो उन्होंने अपना रिन्यूअल नहीं कराया पासपोर्ट का 10 साल से. 6,000 per annum per passport is the fees of Pak Embassy.
Okay.
So 60,000 rupees per annum. So for 10 years it is 6 lakh Indian rupees.
Right.
With bribe and penalties it becomes approximately 8 lakh rupees.
Okay.
इतने पैसे दे दे कि पाकिस्तान एम्बेसी को.
Right.
ये बात हम लोगों की भारत सरकार ने मान ली है, लेकिन क्या होता है हमेशा के लिए डॉक्यूमेंट्स में छूट नहीं दी जा सकती है. इसलिए 5 साल का टाइम रखा ना, तो 5 साल पहले जो आया है उसको छूट दे दी पेपर्स में. उसके बाद जो पाकिस्तान से आ रहे हैं वो सब लोग पासपोर्ट पे आए, उनके पासपोर्ट अभी भी वैलिड है और 1 साल का रिन्यूअल लगेगा 6,000 रुपीज. तो वी विल हेल्प देम एंड वी विल गेट दैट डन. इसलिए वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. इस पर्टिकुलर चीज से पाकिस्तान की एम्बेसी का 200 से 300 करोड़ रुपए का रेवेन्यू भारत सरकार ने मार दिया है
जी.
लॉट ऑफ लेग वर्क और बहुत सारी चीजें बच गई हैं और एक बहुत बड़ा चंक क्लियर हो गया है. अभी 1-2 साल बाद में फिर एक नोटिफिकेशन लाके फिर छूट दिलवा देंगे. आप क्यों चिंता करते हो?
पीओके में हिंदू बचे हैं क्या जय?
नहीं, पीओके में हिंदू नहीं है.
Okay, that answers the second part.
Right. Okay.
Right, thank you.
पीओके में हिंदू नहीं है, लेकिन पीओके चलेंगे. आप चिंता मत करो, तैयारी पूरी है.
का इंतजार है अभी.
ईशा गणेश.
सुनिए दिनेश जी, शारदा पीठ में इसी जीवन में आराधना करने चलेंगे और हिंगलाज माता के दर्शन करने भी स्टेट गेस्ट बन के आजाद बलूचिस्तान में चलेंगे. चिंता मत कीजिए, विश्वास रखिए, जगदम्बा करेंगी.
जी. झूलेलाल.
Ji, Reddy ji, you have a question? Reddy Garu.
Hello.
Are you there?
Hear me? Yes, yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, please, with your question. Can you come on to the video? I can't see you.
Video? Yeah, coming up.
Yeah, go ahead with your question, please.
So I just want to make like all yes, and actually Umar has already made it. Like all the Ahmadiyyas and sheikhs, like who are the Muslim community wants to get some citizenship. Also, like actually, they should also get the land because we have given them on their religious basis. It's not about minority, majority. I just want to make it clear, and yeah, that's. I just want to make an observation. That's it. Nothing question.
Your observation is your line is not very clear, so you'll have to be a little crisp and brief because we aren't able to hear you.
Yeah, my observation is if everyone in Pakistan, etc., has to get some citizenship in India, they have to also get the land which we have separated for them.
Land?
I mean,
that's a sound logic to counter this, that if anybody wants to come from Pakistan, they bring their own land with them. Yeah, that's the sound logic. No harm to that.
Land is the Pakistan which we have given them.
Anyway, Rathi Sahab, this whole idea of giving citizenship to Shias and Ahmadiyyas of rank PS, it has got no logic. We just talked about it, that this is irrelevant and illogical.
Right. I'll have to put you on mute, Reddy Garu, and also get you off the video because your network is pretty poor. Is there anybody else who wants to ask any question, please?
Yes, madam.
Myself, Ram Mohan, madam, I would like to ask.
Yes, please.
Madam, I am Ram Mohan. Can I speak?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Sir, I have a little lack of technical or legal knowledge pertaining to this, but my point is that if the government of India wants to help the Hindu minorities, not only in Pakistan, but across the world, who are being put to suffering by the local government, can we not by an executive order? That is my point. By an executor, I think on the whole there could be a few lakhs of people, Hindus, those who are suffering, one, and those who are willing to come back to India. Government by various means can help them come here, involving international bodies like International Court of Justice or Human Rights Commissions. Why this route we are not following?
Sir, Narendra Modi ji in 2013, when he was declared campaign committee's head, the first interview has been taken by Deepak Chaurasia. And the question was same, not same, the question was related with Pakistani and Bangladeshi Hindus. And Narendra Modi ji answered कि पूरी दुनिया में हिंदू जहां भी है वो भारत में नहीं आएगा तो कहां जाएगा? The only land of Hindus is Bharat. So we will welcome every Hindu across the globe. If they are suffering with any kind of trouble, they can come to Bharat and we will arrange the shelter for them in India also, always. और उसके आधार पे नरेंद्र मोदी जी बहुत सारे काम भी कर रहे हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें यहाँ पे भी नहीं बोल सकता हूं मैं, लेकिन आप ये मान के चलिए कि जो आप कह रहे हैं वो भारत की सरकार अभी कर रही है. It is happening across the globe.
Right.
जी.
Nice to know. Thank you.
But just to add to the very crisp response of Jay to this question, just to add to this, we as Hindus, ordinary Hindus, have to keep up the pressure. We have to form small committees wherever we live in the United States or Europe or Africa or wherever. Nowhere our Hindus are in such a bad shape as in Pakistan and Bangladesh. That is one thing. So CAA was a critical piece of legislation, long overdue. But as far as the questioner's question goes about Hindus anywhere on the globe, that is not the responsibility of BJP, Narendra Modi and Amit Shah alone. For that, all of us as Hindus have to get united, have to hit the social media, have to start giving dharmanj, because everything on this globe moves with money. As long as Hindus do not have a central core committed fund to fund a war room of Hindus like Abrahamics have for themselves, we have to have war rooms, paid people constantly thinking about Hindu issues. As long as we don't do that, we do not collect that much money, all this is going to end up in zilch, because money makes the world go round. Hindus have to start collecting their central fund, which we call as dharmanj, for the limited issue of Hindu refugees. Nimittekam is the platform. For those living in the United States, Auroveda is a platform. For those who want to fight other love jihad and other issues, Agniveer, Sangam Foundation, anybody can choose whatever he wants to, whatever his taste is, whatever way he wants to contribute. But coming back to the question, every Hindu has to become a part of the global Hindu mind and body. Only then can the Hindus of the globe be saved. It's not going to be the responsibility of one Narendra Modi or one Amit Shah.
That is right. We need to have a multi-pronged approach.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Sushmita, you have a question, please?
Hello.
Yes, Sushmita.
Yeah. Namaste, Omendra ji and Jay ji.
Namaste.
Namaste. आपकी बातों से बहुत बल मिलता है, बहुत आशा बनती है. Thank you for your service, and whatever we can do, obviously we would like to get into that. What I want to ask is the CAA in its present form. You must have been involved in a deep way with the MHA. So were you able to achieve what you set out to? Is there anything else that needs to be done legislation wise? Is it to your satisfaction?
See, it was supposed to be 1 year, which becomes 5 years.
Okay.
When we were in the discussion, it was 1 year, but it becomes 5 years. It doesn't make any difference, no problem, because we will manage anyhow. And we are close to 90%. What we wanted, we achieved. Close to 90%. Even in regulations, so the act is a separate thing. Implementation of act on ground, which will be cleared with the regulations, rules and regulations. So we are part of that also to create rules and regulations. So earlier cutoff date was 15th April, but due to this corona epidemic, on 16th March, Amit Shah ji given the appointment about the discussion, and we had almost 10 minutes, 15 minutes discussion about rules and regulations. I have been in Delhi that time. Then suddenly this all happened, corona and all. So it is going to be delayed some months now. We know, you also know, but they are taking care of every single minute issue.
And we must understand this, and part of a continuing answer of Jay, that CAA sets the ball rolling. You know, we have to understand the kind of signal it sends to Pakistan. I remember the day we were celebrating the passage of the bill in Rajya Sabha, we got calls from Karachi, and there were people, businessmen, and these small bonded laborers and all, and they said, "Doctor Sahab, hum bach gaye." So imagine the kind of optical value and the message it sends across to these trapped Hindus that hang on, we are coming to save you, and that's all that makes a difference. The one thing that Jay has already talked about, let me repeat it, that we need to increase the number of visas, because to take out 5 million Hindus and Sardars trapped in that hellhole, 2,000 visas a month is not going to do that. So we are working on that. But CAA has largely been able to address the problem up till now, and the message that it has conveyed to the global community that we care about our Hindus. Hindus are no longer shy and apologetic about being Hindus and helping each other as Hindus. Thank you.
Awesome, very well said.
May I ask a question? Yeah, can I come in, ma'am? I'm T.R. Prasad.
Prasadji, you finished?
Can I speak again?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to taking a cue from what Dr. Amendra was just now mentioning. I just want to see the whole purpose of CAA is to save the persecuted Hindus and Sikhs living in Pakistan now. Then why this limit of visas? Even if we increase 2,000 to 20,000, that is also not going to solve the problem. Why can't we open our borders to the persecuted Hindus and Sikhs living in Pakistan without any limits? So take a self-declaration.
No, we can't do that, sir. See, you have to understand.
Sir,
they will send in terrorists.
Otherwise, by the time you reach the last man, they would have been converted into Islam.
Sir, but that is the whole thing. There has to be a parallel stream of on this issue. And now if we shift gears from CAA to actually coming to the issue of Pakistani Hindus, we have to take a plane load of Hindus and Sardars of Pakistan and take them around the globe to tell their story from their own mouth. You have to understand that we have to go to the United Nations Human Rights Commission, you go to the United Nations, you go to the embassies of United States, you go to your European Union Parliament, and you seek asylum for these Hindus. If Syrian refugees can get asylum, why not Pakistani Hindus? I'm talking about taking this whole issue to the next level. This is beyond the CAA.
No,
55 million Hindus of Pakistan cannot be brought into India because our security agencies have to vet every single application. They have to make sure that no terrorist sneaks in as a Pakistani Hindu. It is a legitimate concern.
Yeah, my concern is about the procedure, the long procedures involved.
So be it. But please understand, you cannot get one person who starts bombing our cities. So the way out is that we go to the Western world, we go to other countries who have a soft corner for us. We tell them our story. If Syrian refugees can be taken into Canada and US, why not Pakistani Hindus? This is the failure of our leadership and the Hindu leadership, not the political leadership. It's a failure of the Hindu leadership that we have not been able to articulate, not been able to take this issue to the other countries, because Bharat alone, Indian government alone, cannot save these 5 million Hindus. It's a given. They will be finished in the next 5 years.
One good example is there. More than 90,000 Hindu and Sikhs from Afghanistan got shelter in Europe with refugee cards.
Exactly.
Okay.
Something like that must be attempted.
All right. One more thing.
No, I'm sorry, Prasad Garu, there are other people waiting. Please.
No, ma'am. It is a good thing. What I wanted to say. I mean, please share your, the bank account or whatever details are there, so that we can support your cause, because all these things takes a lot of resources. You need a lot of money for all these things.
They definitely need, and I will ensure that all the details are shared. As much support as we can give to Nimit Ekam, we should do that.
Yeah, that's
they're doing a lot of great work. Srinivasji, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Like when Balochistan will get liberated from Pakistan?
You need to be a little clear, Srinivas.
Okay, fine. Like when Balochistan will get liberated from Pakistan?
I'm not too sure if they have an answer.
Sir, I have a lot of friends in Balochistan who are fighting for the liberation of Balochistan. So it is just gut feel. I don't have any official information. It is a gut feel that in this life we will go within the years, 2, 3, 5 years, not more than this. We will go for the Tirth of Hinglaj Mata, first Shakti Peeth of Sanatan Dharma, as a state guest. I know that I'll go there as a state guest in Azad Balochistan.
Let's pray and that your words come true, and they will come true. Right. We have some more questions. Shiv Kumarji, you have a question?
Me? Yeah, you have unmuted me. You should unmute me.
Yeah, you are unmuted. You can go ahead, please.
Okay. My video, I think you can't. You should. My video. Okay. Ma'am, see, actually, Jai Ji and Umendra Ji. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. You're very audible. Please go ahead.
I am Shukumar calling from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Okay, Jai Shri Ram to all. The thing what I heard, what you're speaking is all is right, but it will take, there are mode of procedures and all is involved. CA is just a start for this. This is a confidence given to our Hindu brothers and sisters who are there in Pakistan. Okay, what is my question is that why can't we work collectively, like we can create an awareness with all our people who are here, with all the Hindus? Why can't we create this awareness in a big way so it will be helpful for everybody? Like you were telling that a sponsorship has to be given, whatever the amount is involved in that. So what collectively, if we work more, so what can we do for
that's the whole idea of this talk, right?
Okay.
That's what we are doing.
No. What I'm saying is, it should be a solid, like we few people talk here, but it should be like an organization, like where we can all involve and we can work. This is what we're talking. I can understand.
Nimitekam is the organization.
Yeah. That's what I told. Since
Nimitekam is the organization for Pakistani Hindus.
Okay.
And once this corona thing is over, I will personally come to
Please, sir.
I will meet you guys. And we will sit together. I will bring a Pakistani Hindu and a Pakistani Sardar. Then you can talk to them directly.
Yeah, please, sir.
And
this
then
is what
that's
I was.
The whole idea.
This is. This is what I'm looking from your end, because like Nimitekam is already there in Delhi. What you are saying, we want a small office over here that we can work as a team here and we can support you from here, because you are working in the front end.
Great.
So back end we can give a support, the maximum, the best support. What we can do to save our Hindu brothers and sisters over there, we can do that, sir. So our full support is there in Tamil Nadu, not only in Tamil Nadu, in the south. We can do the maximum efforts. What help you require from us, we can do it, sir. That is what I can pledge.
Wonderful, Shiva. This is music to my ears. Once the talk is done, you connect with me separately.
Okay.
And we'll work something out. Either you come to Jaipur or we come to Coimbatore. But I think we should build on that. And Nimitekam Coimbatore office is a great idea.
We will give space. We will provide you with all the infrastructure, sir.
It's a great idea. Okay. Yes. Let's take it to the logical end.
Because my other brothers are also waiting. Kindly, you can take question from them also, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Bye.
Okay. Any more questions, please? Nitesh Singh ji, you have a question?
Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Can you just
Nitesh bhai boliye.
Nitesh ji, can you get on to the view?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah.
Firstly, just a second. There's some privacy setting of 1 minute.
Okay.
There was some lady who asked a question about registration of Hindu marriages, and to answer the lady, Pakistani Hindus, the marriages were not being registered even till 2016. Then in the Sindh Assembly, they passed a law, and now the Hindu marriages are registered. So you can imagine that till 2016.
In Sindh only.
Only in Sindh.
Out of 5 provinces.
Amazing. They still don't register it?
No. Only in Sindh they can register, because वहाँ की state government ने legislation pass किया है. बाकी in Punjab, in Northwest Province, in Pak occupied Kashmir or Balochistan, there is no provision of Hindu marriage registration.
Can you believe this, ladies and gentlemen?
Only Nikah-nama is the only registered document.
Can you believe this happening in 21st century, that 70,000 or 80,000 Hindus living in KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and about 5-6 lakh Hindus living in Pakistani Punjab, they don't get their marriages registered. And what's the singular reason for that? That the woman can be picked up any day, because a married woman cannot be picked up in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. An unmarried woman can be picked up anytime. Welcome to the 21st century.
That's really sad and gruesome, actually.
नितेश जी कुछ पूछ रहे थे?
Yeah. जी. Hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you, Jay sir and Omendra sir, for giving deeper insights about CAA. My question is, like, as you had mentioned that the major need is the funding. So why can't the government of India have an unofficial source where they can involve the millionaires and billionaires, the NRIs, the Hindu NRIs rather, and fund for this cause? Like, we have so many businessmen around the globe, the Hindu businessmen, who can, we have, when we say that the Muslims have funding from the Gulf, why can't we Hindus have a particular source?
Yeah, I'd like to answer that.
Yeah,
your guess is as good as mine. Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
So your guess is as good as mine that why can't rich Hindus fund the extrication of these poor Hindus from Pakistan? See, that's the whole thing which I started with, that the first thing, the singular effect of Citizenship Amendment Act has been the awareness amongst Hindus that this is happening to Hindus and Sardars in Pakistan. See, what CAA did was to bring the whole issue in the center stage. How many Hindus knew that there were even Hindus left in Pakistan, right? So people like me and Jay were running around the globe, but who cared? So the biggest takeaway of Citizenship Amendment Act is the awareness that has happened. And now with these talks with Monica ji has so compassionately organized, you talking to me, I talking to you, we're talking to people around the globe. This is how gradually we are increasing our presence and this whole issue is getting highlighted. And as more Hindus learn about the plight of Hindus in Pakistan, and they also realize that by giving money, we are directly able to save a Hindu out of Pakistan. For example, I said the cost of taking one Hindu out of Pakistan is approximately 5,000 Indian rupees. So one Hindu gives his contribution as 5,000 rupees to Nimitte Ekam, that I give this money to take out one Hindu, my Hindu brother from Pakistan.
Yes.
So this will be a chain of events. If suppose 10 lakh Hindus were to give us this money, 10 lakh Hindus will be taken out, howsoever late and whatever the technical and the bureaucratic delays, but at least monetarily our funding should not be choked. So maybe one day we find a Hindu Trump who cares as much and starts funding us in a big way. Till then, we have to start raising our voice. We have to keep raising our voice. We have to raise awareness. We have to keep talking to our family, our friends, our colleagues, that this is what we're doing. I request all of you, whenever this Corona thing is over, come to Jaipur, come to Jodhpur, meet these people. These are walking, living gods. To understand such poor people, and they suffer. They suffer so much, but they do not give up on their dharma.
True.
These are walking gods. These are not fables and stories. These are living people who don't yield to the most vicious and the most dangerous religious zealots on this globe. Imagine their core, imagine their spine, that they don't yield and they just escape with their family, leaving behind their riches, their properties, their memories, their roots, everything, and they come to a new land just to remain Hindus.
So well said. Absolutely beautifully said. If I could give you a standing ovation, I would right now.
Great. Superb.
So well said. So well said.
We have to keep talking about this issue. Keep talking.
Yes. Absolutely.
Keep it burning.
Yes. Anybody else, please, with a question? Sheetal, you had a question?
Hello.
Yes, Sheetal, go ahead.
Yes, we have Pakistan refusing to livelihood to the in Pakistan. What can Indian government do to help those Hindus?
Sheetal, your voice has been cracking up. Okay, do you
please repeat.
Once, can you repeat yourself? Yeah, Sheetal, go ahead.
And refuses provide livelihood to those living in Pakistan. So, what can Indian government do in this case to save those people?
Provide livelihood? Is that what you're saying? Sorry, your line's just not clear.
Pakistan provide livelihood.
Sheetal, go off the video. Maybe it'll be better. Just go off the video and ask your question. Maybe that will be better. Yeah, just go off the video and ask your question. Maybe then the bandwidth will be better.
Pakistan refuses to provide livelihood to those.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you're just not audible.
Why don't you?
Yeah.
Can you type it?
Yeah, write your question and then we'll get it across. Anybody else with a question?
Monica ji, I have a question.
Yes, please.
My name is Rishikesh. Let me just switch on my. Yeah, so my question is to both of them, Omendra ji and Jay bhai. So I have seen a lot of Hindus and Sikhs in India going against the CA. So I am just not able to fathom why that is. So what is your thoughts on that?
Leadership.
Yeah. So can you please elaborate? Because I am just not able to get my head around that thing.
Napoleon said that get me a pack of sheep led by a lion, and if it is confronted with a pack of lion led by one sheep, the pack of sheep will win. It all boils down to leadership, Rishikesh. It took 70 years for us to notice this genocide.
Bad, very bad.
It takes one European Union to tell us that 3 Hindu and Sikh girls are being picked up every day.
So.
It takes us 70 years to notice the biggest genocide ever witnessed in the history of mankind.
Shame, shame, shame.
So, what are we talking here?
It's really shame.
We are talking about a comatose leadership. Petty, selfish, narcissist, and intellectually bankrupt. It took one person, Narendra Modi, to capture this issue, put it in the election manifesto. I know it personally how he has pushed this issue. This issue was never on the agenda of any Hindu leader, ever. So it took one Narendra Modi to do this. So, and now Akali Dal is, or even other Sardar Sikh leadership are resisting it. These guys have no idea what they're talking about. Do they even know the demographics of that land? Do they know what Hindus are going through, Sardars are going through in that country?
Yes, I was shocked when I heard Captain Amrinder Singh going against this one. Because he being in a border state, how can he say all those things? So,
but there has to be consequences for if any leader stabs Hindus and Sardars in their chest, in their eye, then they should lose their elections. And that's the whole point, when we do a talk like Aham Talks, what we're doing, we're connecting to people and telling them that these are your leaders. These are the leaders who want you to die, who want your girls to be raped. So good luck to you. Think again. Find good leaders.
Right.
The silver lining in all this is that the ordinary Hindus, for example, today I'm connecting with so many Hindus from Bhagyanagar, Coimbatore. It is so heartening. I cannot tell you, it makes me emotional. So many Hindus are so compassionately aligned on this cause. So it is the ordinary Hindus, it is the ordinary Sardars who are going to make the difference. And we will not yield. Internet will be our medium. Dharmansh will be our power, and we Hindus and Sardars together will save our daughters. If our leadership aligns with us, leads us, Very well. They're most welcome. If not, we will do it even without them.
100% with you on that.
Great, thank you. Okay, so do we have any more questions?
Madam, I have a question. Bhaskar speaking here. Sir, both of you, Pakistani Hindus, I mean, mainly these young boys and girls who are there presently in Pakistan, why can we have any possibility to migrate them on the this thing of education? Like many people come on education visa to India and other countries, they'll go and they complete their education. So at least 6 to 8 years, we will divert them Pakistan to other countries on the name of education. Meanwhile, their visa process and other things will be completed. This is my question. Can we have your life?
Bhaskar ji, it's already there. South Asian universities, a pool is there, and all SAARC countries, the students have the opportunity to come India from Pakistan with that SAARC examination. A lot of students are coming, but there is a catch in student visa. It cannot be converted into a resident visa. So a lot of people are coming, so we help them when they come and get admission in Indian universities. We help them always in local administration and local Hindu groups usually take care of them for their normal things. But there is a catch. We are trying to resolve that also. And students are very good and helpful in our cause also. Once they go back to Pakistan after their education, they will go with the mind that they will definitely come with their families permanently to permanent settlement in Bharat.
Absolutely, that's good.
It's happening already.
Okay, Bhaskar, Chintala Bhaskar ji, let's take the last question, please. We are nearing the end of the meeting. Chintala Bhaskar ji, do you have a question?
Yeah, madam. My last question is, as on a special cause and concern to protect Hinduism and protect Hindu Pakistani Hindu people, we are fighting a lot. Is there any people in Pakistan who are Pakistan or Pakistan NGOs who are fighting to get Pakistani, I mean Muslims of Indians are shifting to Pakistan? It's a question in a different way. Is there anything happening?
Why would an Indian Muslim want to go to Pakistan? That's your guess is as good as mine.
Yes,
so there is no NGO that we are in touch with.
India is the safest place for Muslims.
They all want to come here.
Have you
absolutely? We should.
Bhaskar ji, have you heard some Muslims got citizenship in Hyderabad from Pakistan? Do you know this?
Yeah, I heard that.
So there are two different clauses who are going to help these people. If any Indian female got married to abroad and she got separated or divorcee there or widow or separated there, तो वो अपने बच्चों को लेकर के that particular female can come back to native place in India and claims early citizenship. There is a clause, section 51B, and there is one more clause, either male or female, if got married with Indian citizen and they stayed in India for 7 years in section 51C, they can also get the citizenship.
Okay.
सेटिंग भी रखी ना.
तो भारत में आके नागरिकता लेने का तो प्रावधान है, पर यहाँ से भी कोई शादी करके गया तो गया, अदरवाइज नो वन वांट्स टू गो टू पाकिस्तान, कंट्री लाइक पाकिस्तान और बांग्लादेश.
Thank you, sir.
Rajesh from Germany.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
One question will come.
Yeah, let's take this one last question.
In a recent interview, Saeed Rizwan Ahmad says Muslims are unsafe only in nations where Muslims are in the majority.
True.
Yeah, he's a brother of Nasruddin Shah.
Right.
Talking about intolerance.
Right. So thank you so much, Omendra ji. Who has a question, please?
I have one. Please, can I come in? I'm Rajesh from Germany, Frankfurt. Do you hear me?
Who is this, please?
I'm Rajesh, call from Germany.
Right. Can we see you on the video? I don't see you here.
The start
Rajesh
video,
call.
I will have to press. Yeah, the host has disabled the video here.
Yeah, sure. Wait.
Rajesh call ji.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on. Can you please come on to the video?
Yeah, I'm there.
Right.
Yeah, first of all, let me congratulate you all for having organized such a nice and important session on CA and the genocide that's happening to the minorities in Islamic State neighbor Pakistan. I would like to emphasize one of the co-speakers who spoke a short while back, that we should approach and bang on the UN, the West, the Europe, the Americas, and take these rights issues on a global platform and get them moving on that, get them moving. And to do that, it's already good. It's already good to see that the legislation that Indian government has adopted includes Christians as well and other minorities. I would like to share one example. There was this Christian Asia Bibi, who was blasphemy law in Pakistan, and she was living in jails without even in the High Court. Pakistan was not hearing her. Even the Supreme Court was not hearing. She didn't get a presence to present her side. And eventually the media in the West picked her story up. There was an article by a journalist also in Germany and in other European countries that taking your head off such news is actually deadly. This is a deadly abstinence. Please don't be shy away from such things happening in Pakistan. So the entire idea I want to bring to the knowledge of Jai and Omendra and ask their advice also is that we should perhaps include in our initiative a larger strategy to this larger global mindset together working. Maybe the journalist or get their videos and tapes and translate it and then send these things. Let government of India, I mean, this if there's a more that we can make more not only Hindus but also the Christian issues which have happened in Pakistan, as a under blasphemy or any other act, kind of a genocide.
Rajesh ji, we started already.
Yeah.
Rajesh ji, Rajesh bhai, we started already.
I mean, if we get hands on such information, and we can kind of force multiply to spread this communication, maybe make inroads in respective countries with whatever little media associations we have, it would certainly be fruitful in the long run, because eventually, quote unquote, I would like to put it. It's actually a war of liberal faiths. How we can put it, I mean, how I put it is that democracies and faiths which are liberal in character, where women are goddesses, okay, we have and those who respect the freedom. Such faiths have to come together to counter this Asuri Shakti that India has been engulfed around, so as to say. I mean, this is the point I wanted to make, and maybe have your opinion.
That's a brilliant suggestion, Rajesh ji. We have been working on it, on a global alliance against fanaticism of a particular kind, and Christians and Jews and Buddhists are definitely allies of Hindus and Sardars in this whole process. We try to bring out the atrocities against our Christian brothers and sisters in that country, And the problem is that as we are very limited in our funding and our bandwidth. We do not have wherewithal to take this whole issue to United Nations and Geneva and those all kind of. We are not that well funded. So maybe we're reaching there. Your point is absolutely valid. We are doing some preliminary work already on this, but I think we should align more. And I think, Monica, if you can follow up this talk with, putting people in Telugu, Sanatanis, or whatever group where are people from, so that we can build on this friendship and take this to the logical end. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me share one example. I got an opportunity to meet and speak to Bob Blackman, an MP in UK, Britain. And I had a one-to-one discussion with him, and he was of the same opinion that eventually the liberal faiths of the world may have to come together and tackle this monster together. So, and Bob Blackman is one of the rare voices who speak in favor of India in the British Parliament, which is so. I mean, I want such examples. If we can force multiply, we may not have funds, but we can be more organized and structured in our responses.
Great suggestion.
Absolutely. So it has been a great evening, Omendra ji and Jai ji. Thank you so much for being a part of this talk and sharing your experiences. The number of people that we have today, I can tell you this, Omendra ji, that each one who has heard you today will be going back a lot more motivated to contribute to the cause of fellow Indians, fellow Hindus who are getting persecuted around the globe, and more so around our own borders. So thank you so much. May God bless.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the participants, thank you. Keep supporting us. We are continuously doing these talks, and we will be doing more of these. We'll stay in touch with you. Thank you so much, everybody.